left, right.
I'm back in the office, but you will be listening to episode 98 of the podcast where I was on vacation, and this episode of SipTalk happened to take place after a quick happy hour. So it's a drunk one. It's all out there for you to have fun listening to. So let me know what you think, and I will see you on the other side. This is SipTalk. Grab a drink and enjoy.
Where's this go?
Cheers.
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 My name is Justin DiGiulio. I'm a real estate broker out of Manhattan. However, I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida right now. I am joined by semi-co-host, our Thursday co-host, David Boswell, the political scientist out of Sacramento, California. He is in the past, so we'll share a little future with him tonight. And we're waiting on our regular co-host, James the Bosniator Boswell, out of Charleston, South Carolina. We don't know what's going on because we're engaged in this meeting right now. So he should be joining us soon. But today we are talking about moving. So this is episode 98. And, I think the three of us have a pretty interesting, on each level, personal history with moving around a little bit because each of us have moved. And we all kind of share that in common. James and I, like 12, 13 years ago, moved to Charleston, South Carolina together, which was probably the biggest change I've ever made in my life. And David, do you know how the whole situation happened?
I remember that you guys went down and scoped it out, and I don't remember too much about how you decided to land exactly where you landed.
Dude, let me tell you what happened. So you know that your family used to go to North Carolina, the Wilmington area, Outer Banks area. My family came. Yeah, they still do. My family came once or twice or something. I came several times along with your family. So one year, James decided that he was and rightfully so, the town that he was from, he had and this is where I want to go later in this episode. He was very frustrated with where he was. He hated the fucking weather. First and foremost, he hated the weather, and he just wanted something new. So he said, I want to move to North Carolina. I want to go down and scope out the area. Do you want to go with me? So I said, sure, why not? So more or less, and he's not here live to corroborate what I'm saying, but for the most part, I'm pretty sure on the route down, I said, James, you're moving because of the weather. Why don't we look one state warmer? So rather than North Carolina, why don't we look at South Carolina? To me, that seems like and at that point, your family didn't have as much kind of deep roots in North Carolina. They didn't own the property there. It was just a place that you guys are going. So South Carolina was another place to go, just one state warmer. So this is back in the early days of iPhone. I think it was 2000. I think it was early 2008. And so iPhone 1 was available. So what we did was I had a laptop, I think, and we used to drive to different Starbucks so we could log onto their Wi-Fi at the Starbucks. And we would download current maps. Because that, the old school way that we grew up with was you go to the gas station, you buy a map, right?
Yep.
So at this time and place, what we would do is we would go to a new Wi-Fi spot and then download the map. And then I'd sit in the passenger seat reading the map on the computer and we go down that way. So
yeah, I can only imagine how well that went.
So what happened was we're looking at the map. There's 95, which runs down, I-95 runs down the West Coast. So what's your prediction on the real estate market? Is it going to crash? We will talk about that in a second. TikTok, hang tight, Brett Jackson. So we're looking at the map down, and I'm like, well, 95, if we go into Charleston, if we go into South Carolina, there's another beach area, and it looks like there's this other route I-26 or something that branches off of I-95, and it brings us right into this beach town. So what we did was we drove down 95, we turned on I-26, and we just drove straight into the beach. And we found a parking spot on the water, and we walked into a pub on the corner and started talking to people at the pub. They told us the town to go to. We went to the town. We found a good hotel. And we just started going to different businesses, having conversations with people, and finding out more information. We looked at some housing when we were there. And we found a decent neighborhood, a decent plantation style apartment complex. All right, we have James joining. While James is joining, let me just address the SipTalk question. What's your prediction on the real estate market? Is it going to crash? I don't see a hard crash on the real estate market because we have so many to get a mortgage is very strict. I do think we have a lot of people renting right now, and that actually makes for a worse real estate crash, because what happened formerly was people went from owning and then they went to renting. Now you have people that are going to go from renting to being severely fucked. And in cities like New York City, where people haven't paid rent in 16 months, we're going to have some major issues where somebody who worked in the theater district and they weren't a famous person, they worked in the theater district, they got by and they stopped making money at the beginning of coronavirus, they're going to get hit really hard because they haven't been working for the last 14 months. And I don't know exactly what's going to happen to them, but I know it's going to be bad. So what's up, James?
Hey, sorry I didn't see the link earlier.
That's all right. We were just building a little backstory as to how you and I moved to South Carolina. And I think I've shared this story with you maybe once or twice from my perspective, because what happened was we went down, we visited South Carolina, we made some connections. We literally drove right down to the beach, and then we stopped at a pub on the corner. Yep. And started talking to people. And they're like,
even have a hotel.
We didn't have a hotel or anything. And we drove, 12 or 13 hours?
It's about 15 to 16 hours.
And
we just drove straight. We got in the end, and we were like, fuck, let's go to the beach.
But our original destination was North Carolina. And then we just decided, we'll try South Carolina. If not, we'll drive a couple hours north back to North Carolina.
Well, I think it was that I was in between Wilmington and Charleston, and I already knew Wilmington decently enough. So I was like, let's see how Charleston stacks up. And if Charleston doesn't work, then we can back into Wilmington.
Fair enough. Yeah, and we knew Wilmington. So real quick, now that James is here, I got a nice glass of Bogle. I think it's Merlot. David, what
Bogle's a good vineyard.
Yeah, Bogle's great. It's cheap as shit. It's great wine.
I got a nice ginger beer Moscow Mule. So it's pretty nice.
Reed's is a great ginger.
Yeah.
Jamaican, right? Or does it just complement Jamaican rum very well?
I think it just complements it very well. This is their brewed ginger beer, so it's just brewed ginger juice and sugar fermented. So
nice. James, what do you
sugar after?
I'm gonna go with a Nighthawk boxed wine.
Very nice.
And the standard Bush Ice, which I really want to get a Bush Ice neon sign for the bar.
I got some beer here after I finish this wine. I'm fucking toasted, guys. I'm on vacation, so at like 8:40 in the morning, I would just crack the Bud Light, sat by the pool. I've just been chilling, so you guys may have to redirect me back into the conversation. So
no, we never do that.
I know.
So
you may need to help me with that.
This will be new.
So to continue the story, though, so we're driving down. We get down there, and we check out some apartment complexes. James meets with some arena. We go to one indoor soccer arena, and he meets the owner. Super nice woman. Remind me her name?
Patty
Nagel, something like that.
Yep.
Ran the soccer arena. Super nice lady. Basically, she didn't promise you a job, but she said, there'd be some opportunity if you came back. Obviously, they're looking for referees. And we just explored, and we had a shit ton of fun. and then we drove back to upstate New York.
Yeah, and then about a month later, I moved down, and you came down about 2 weeks after that.
So what happened was, David, you may not know this version of the story, but I thought I was going on vacation with James to South Carolina. I went on vacation. We came back, and then I started hearing from friends, them saying something along the lines of, "Oh, our mutual friends. James said you guys are moving to South Carolina. I didn't know that. What makes you interested in South Carolina?" I was like, "Oh, I think James is moving down. I wasn't moving down." But I had that conversation 4 or 5 times, and
I'm pretty sure that we applied for the apartment together while we were in South Carolina.
I don't remember it that way, man.
How else did you get on the lease?
Did we apply after we were there?
No, that would make it really hard to do because I was already in the apartment.
Well, I wasn't fully committed to the move. Either way.
No, but you're also not fully committed to the facts of the story.
Well, I'm not. I would have been happy to apply for the lease one way or the other.
Yeah, you applied while we were in South Carolina, or like the week afterwards when like I needed to get paperwork together. But this is not something we're like we're like a week before you like drove down, because like it was early July that we went down, and I moved in the first week of August. You moved in mid-August, and it's not like a week before you drove down, you're like, oh shit, I guess I'm moving to South Carolina. No, this took some planning on your part.
It did.
What is it about the South and revisionist histories?
But the point is, it happened fast, and when we visited, I wasn't fully committed to moving, and then I had friends that were like, "Oh, I hear you're moving." And I was like, "Well, like." James and I were James is moving, definitely. Him and I were talking about it. But it just hit a certain point where I was just like, you know what? I have a bullshit job. And like, I love where I'm living now in Albany, but why not go explore a new area? And what's holding me back? And I thought it would create a lot of opportunity. And that's where I want to go with this. I think moving away from where we grew up, as much as I love living in the Adirondacks, having the mountains, having lakes, having snow skiing, winter sports, and then having all these great summer sports, having beautiful seasons. I don't mind the snow in the winter as much as you do.
I like the snow for like a day and a half.
I mean, and trust me, now that I have a house and a driveway that I got to, bullshit shovel myself, it sucks. But I like the Northeast. I like the area. I like the seasons. Obviously, that's where I'm from. I have family nearby, so I like that aspect of it. But the idea of moving, a lot of people don't consider, and I think that it brought a lot of opportunity to our lives and a lot of perspective to our life. And that's what I want to touch on. I
want to play a quick guessing game with you right now, because I did some research on this. In a given year, what percentage of the U.S. population moves?
Relocates.
Yes.
So it's kind of I don't know the data that you have. Is it moves out of their city or just moves within their city? Because New Yorkers move all the time within New York.
So this would just be any move whatsoever.
Oh, there you go.
35%.
35? I was thinking closer to like 15 or less.
10.
Really? Okay, so I was
Really that low.
Yeah, and the trend has been steadily dropping since 1998. It was at 16%, and it's dropped all the way down to 10% in 2018. Now, of those people that move, only 15% of them move to a different state.
Okay, yeah. So a lot of people sticking pretty close to where they were. A lot of people moving, less than I thought moving, but a lot of people staying where they were. What I'd like to do a little poll. We have Rosh watching the Facebook and the Instagram live. I'm watching TikTok. I'm curious, you guys are listening, how many times you've moved in your life. David, how many times have you moved in your life?
Two big ones: New York to Charleston, Charleston to California. I had to study abroad and then teaching abroad, but that was only for a few months, so I don't think that really
Where was
counts.
Yeah, does college count for like moving into or out of a dorm
Yeah.
or
I
moving
think
into
if
an
it's,
apartment or
I think
something
if
like
it's
that?
more than 3 months, I think that counts.
All right. Well, college, Alicante, Spain for study abroad, Charleston, Mallorca, Spain for teaching, back to Charleston, and then California the last year and a half, 2 years,
That's 4 or is it 5?
4 or 5. Let's call it 5.
I'm 45 years old and I have moved 4 times within California. We got Maria 5 times, Sip 115 once, at least a dozen times, but within the state. Mojitos moved once, 9 times this year will be 10.
Wow.
Yeah, that's wild. James, so how many times you moved? You had
So when I was super young, probably like 2 or 3, my parents moved from Troy to the house that they have now.
Yep.
Then I was there for my whole life. College, I guess you can count my time in Spain as 6 months, so that was a move. I had an apartment my senior year of college, so that was a move. So that's
6.
3. So 3 there. If you count like moving into and out of the dorms over the 4 years as once. So 1 from Troy to there, college for 1, Spain for 2. So I guess 3. Right, we're at 3 now. I can't count. Not really advertising my profession well. And then the apartment that I had in Watervliet, down to the apartment I had in South Carolina, and then just recently moving into a house. So I guess 6.
Right.
I didn't count my Watervliet apartment or living with you.
Yeah, I was wondering if Dave was gonna. I had a feeling when you moved out of your. David, I don't know. We didn't track each other much back then, but I assumed you moved out of your parents' house somewhere upstate.
So senior year of college, I lived off campus. I left that summer, so I went home after the school year after I graduated, and in August, I think, July, whenever nationals was for soccer, I went down and helped them referee, but drove down a month or 2 after graduation to Charleston, live with James for a few months. Then I moved in with my ex.
And then you were doing your ex. She wasn't your ex.
That'll happen.
She wasn't your ex at the time, but
Also, I think that's a good subject for us to cover, a little bit of living with someone you're in a relationship in, and then sometimes that ends. You got to relocate. So I got a couple questions asking when I moved, but I did want to say that David, you didn't live in the Watervliet apartment that James did you?
No, a separate one, further down Main Street, outside of the city. It was closer to Siena.
James had I loved that apartment in Watervliet.
It's pretty awesome.
It was a cool.
Spent a lot of time there.
I also dig your parents' house. I think your parents have a really cool. Just kind of locationally, they're like a third of the way up a mountain, and it's super quiet. It's super easily accessible. It's a nice house, and I remember when they built the addition, the second floor, or part of the second floor. That was cool. So Rosh is saying he lives in 5 countries. Rosh has got to share where he's lived. So I went. I lived in the house I grew up in, and I probably overstayed my welcome until about 22 years old. But my advice to kids who, like, for whatever reason they want to move out of their parents' house, unless they have oppressive parents, they don't get along. Why the fuck would you move? Just bank that money, because
To
for
have
me,
your own space and
but again, it
for
depends on how
independence.
oppressive your parents are.
but
At that point in
grow,
time,
to grow as a person too.
Fair enough, but my mom bought a house an hour away and was living full time at this house.
Yeah,
So
you
for me,
basically had your own house.
But
That's
also,
different. That's living in your parents' house, not living with your parents. There's
fair enough, but some people, they get to live in the garage. They have very low interaction with their parents, whatever it is. But that's where everybody has to draw their own. If you're 26 years old and you live in the bedroom that you grew up in, it's fucking time. It's time, man. But if you like have a separate entrance and you're 22, 23, 24 years old, like, live it up, man. And I depending on your financial goals and what your real goals are, like, if you want to suck it up and spend another 2 or 3 years just living at home and banking money, if you're able to save 40, 60, 80 grand by living at home, mean, think what rent is.
Well,
Rent in New York City, I was paying $3,000 a month. That shit adds up, man.
That's I paid
So
like
again, put
six.
things into perspective. If you have parents in New York City and you can live in that apartment, and you're like, what, I'm going to suck it up for 3 years, get a down payment because you're making money at this point.
yeah. So like, what's the biggest hurdle for people to clear in terms of buying a house versus renting?
Well, I think the bigger issue is how oppressive and how shitty your living situation is. But if it's not bad, I don't think people should be ashamed to stay at home.
No, not arguing that. Especially New York City, that definitely changes the calculus when rent is you guys are paying about $600 a month each in Charleston when you move there. That's about what I'm paying right now before like $50 or $60 in utilities. I have super cheap rent here.
That's we had it really
big difference in calculation. And if I were in San Francisco paying $3,000 a month for a comparable living situation, which is why I live there. I chose Sacramento for that reason.
So I had the luxury that my mom bought a property that she wanted to move into, like an older Victorian style home, an hour away from where we grew up. So I got to spend, it was my sister and I, we had this, how many bedrooms was the house? 4 or 5 bedroom house, 3 bathroom house on 8 acres of land that we just took care of. And she moved away. So that was cool until I moved to South Carolina, which I lived for a couple of years. And then I moved into, so that's 2. And I moved into a sublet in Queens. And I moved out of that sublet into a girl's apartment I was dating. And I moved into another apartment after we broke up. And then I moved to Harlem and then the Upper West Side and then New Jersey. So that's 8 places over the course of 12 years. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of empowerment that comes with moving. And also when you move, you have to let go a lot of your physical belongings. And
you don't have to, but it's an opportunity to.
I think it really, I mean, one thing I've learned about IKEA furniture is it's like single. I love IKEA. I also hate IKEA, but IKEA is like single serving furniture. Like you get it for one place. Once you move with it, that shit falls apart. Like there's nothing. Yep. It's particle board.
I had to rearrange my room the other day, and this little cabinet has 4 little feet on it. You can see like holding up the record player. Each one of those feet broke off. So anytime that I now move it, I have to simultaneously get underneath it and reposition all 4 legs so it's not completely tilted. It is going to stay there until I move.
But that's the thing about IKEA furniture is particle board. So like
it's not furniture.
Once a joint breaks, you've lost 4 inches around the actual joint. Like you're fucked. So like I said,
that's why I would say just spend the money up front and get high quality furniture.
But it's also it's tough to buy high quality furniture.
Estate sales.
I forgot living with Tom. That's another move. So you can tack that on. I knew when I moved in there, I was only going to be there for a few months. So I spent $400 on some stuff that I needed for those 6 months, but I knew I wasn't taking it.
Let me ask you a question.
It cost me more to ship it than it would have to buy it again.
Let me ask 2 questions. One, I want to start with James. How long did I not have a mattress, and I slept on a blow-up air mattress that was leaked?
I feel like it was 2 or 3 months.
I feel like it was like 9 months, dude.
I don't really know.
But it was a long time. What do you guys think are the biggest? So somebody's miserable with where they're living. They're living with their parents, or they're living in the town they grew up in, and they're just complaining all the time about how shit it is where they live. What's the biggest barrier for them moving?
Financial.
Yeah.
I can't see any other reason.
Well, I moved to
inertia. Fear.
Yeah, but I think
I don't think
inertia can be overcome very easily with finances.
But dude, how much is it to save up? The thing is, it depends on where you are. If you're 39 years old and like you have a certain lifestyle you're used to, like it's much more difficult to suck it up than when you're 22 years old, right? Like when you're 22 years old, you can go to a new city and live with 4 roommates and sleep in a fucking futon or air mattress.
Well, let me ask you this, Justin. When you bought your house in New Jersey, not counting repairs or anything else, just the down payment on the house and the other financing aspects of getting the house, the move and all that other stuff, how much did your move cost you?
I think probably roughly 40 to 50 grand.
Okay. That's a lot of money to drop
But again,
in the span of like 6 weeks.
Do you know how much it cost me to move? Do you know how much I had saved when we moved to Charleston? 840 bucks or something like that.
I didn't have much more than that. But
what did I did not, and so here's another part of the conversation that we need to have is when you move somewhere, finding a job. You had some work lined up, like you had some source of income. It wasn't like a career, that you're still doing, but it was income.
I had a way to make at least a little bit of money.
You had a way to make at least enough to cover the rent, right?
Well, I also got a job within like 4 days of moving down here.
And how long did it take me to find a job? A couple months, maybe?
I feel like it was about a month and a half.
Yeah, and what was I doing in the meantime? I was responding to every Craigslist ad, mowing lawns, washing cars, and I was waking up at 7:30 in the morning, and I would send my resume. I'd email my resume to a bunch of places, and then I'd go for a swim, and then I'd come back to the house and I print my resume, and I'd put on a suit, and I just walk to different businesses and hand out my resume.
That was also probably the worst time in the last 20 years to try and find a job, because that was 2008, right when the economy took a giant dump.
But it's funny because like that seemed to not play any role in the fact that I needed a job and I was going to wake up every day and do everything in my power. Now, in retrospect, there's so many more things I could have been doing to try to find a job. But at that time,
you didn't know.
I didn't know. But to me, like somebody who's got, my thinking is it's so fucking easy to save up $2,500 right now, $2,000, $1,500, and then suck it up and eat shit for 2 or 3 months while you move somewhere else. And if your reason for moving is because you're unhappy where you are now, you move somewhere else and you deal with being unhappy for a little while you build your new life in a new place.
I don't know how easy it is to save up $2,500 for someone making $15 an hour.
When I lived in South Carolina, I was saving like $100 a week, and I thought that was big money. Like I remember like having $100 when I moved to New York City. I think I had maybe $2,000, probably less. Maybe it was like $800. But you don't need $2,000 to move. You need first month's rent and security deposit.
Well, what if first month's rent is more than $2,000?
Then you were aiming way fucking too high.
It's pretty hard to find rent and security deposit days for less than that. Even my apartment, which I pay a low amount for, that's because I've one roommate, two roommates technically, and it's split that way. But I don't know anyone in Sacramento as rent as cheap as I do.
All right, let's back up.
Also, the apartment that we used to live in, do you know how much they're going to be renting that apartment out? Once my lease ends, you know what they're going to be charging in rent for that apartment?
No idea.
$1,400 a month.
You can't find a studio apartment in New York City for that amount, so that sounds wonderful.
Well, of course, it's New York City versus Charleston.
I get it. But let's back up and talk about reasons for moving. Why is somebody going to want to move? I did when James thought about this Charleston move, we went down, we looked around, and then to me it wasn't real. Like we were going down, we saw some apartments. In my mind, just in retrospect, I was just playing the good friend, and then we came back and it got real, and James was like, "Yeah, we're moving," and I was like, "All right, why not?" And then we just went. But why? I was not unhappy with the upstate New York area, but a lot of people are not happy with where they live. I've always, rather than been unhappy with my environment, been more the type to do my best to either be happy with my environment or create an environment that I like, which is why I run a company now. And, we have people that stick around the office that aren't super successful just because they like being there. And I love doing this. I'm gonna continue to try to do this because I like this lifestyle. I like the environment.
Well, the main reason why people move is either seeking independence. Actually, this is on my statistics. I can even give you percentages. Oh, damn it. I closed out the window. Let me pull it back up.
Control-Shift-T.
Not in incognito mode.
Raj just called me out for being drunk already. Dude, I tried to take a nap today.
Reasons for moving. Number one reason, they wanted a better home. Just move to a better setting. Next one is to establish their own household. Then other family reasons, skip that one. New job or transfer, so they just got moved because of their job. Wanted to own home, not rent. That's me. That's also you.
Wanted to own rent. Yeah, but
better commute.
There's
change in marital status. That's Derv.
There's some major benefits. There's some major benefits of renting that we should address. So I just want to address some TikTok comments real quick. I'd love to move, but I'm trapped here. Golden handcuffs and shared custody. That sounds very complicated. I moved IKEA stuff, and you got to use Gorilla Glue. Hi from Guyana. Pandemic. To me, Justin seems to have everything in life. Thank you for that. The golden handcuffs is the one I'm curious about. What is golden handcuffs?
You hate your job, but they pay you so damn much that you can't leave.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of bullshit.
If you were to just sell the handcuffs.
Well, it depends on whose wrist the other side of the handcuffs is attached to. But I think people create these brick walls in their life that they believe they can't overcome to move, and there's not much holding them in place, and they've created this construct that they don't think they can leave. So the golden handcuffs is, I have a job, they pay me $90K a year, and I can't get a better job. I can't get $90K anywhere else. And it's like, bro, probably you can.
Or you're in a relationship, or like, let's say you're married to somebody and you're financially dependent on them. That would also be like golden handcuffs.
Okay, but then you have to now you can't just say like, things are good now, I'm a bit miserable, things are good now though, and the positives outweigh the negatives. Then you have to look at that 10-year, what we were talking about a couple of episodes ago, where I'm like, you've got to look at yourself 10 years from now, and you say, 10 years from now, am I happy? Like, am I overall happy? And if you're not, then you got to make some fucking moves, man. Like,
so in your mind, Justin, what are the advantages to renting?
Well, first off, I'm looking at my sister's house. My sister has a great spot in Fort Lauderdale. She's got 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, big living room, nice dining area, big kitchen, and she's got like an outdoor shower. She's got a laundry room. It's a good layout for a house. And then in the back, she's got a pool, and she's got a pool house, which is converted into an apartment. And she Airbnbs the apartment. I thought we'd have some people coming behind me for Airbnb. They're checking in tonight. And that's a great setup. It's a great layout. And having investment income space on your property, badass. But everything is on your shoulders. So let's take the Airbnb aside. She still has to clean the pool. She's got to get the pool cleaned. If there's any issues with the pump, she's got to pay to get the pump fixed. She's got to get her lawn mowed. She's got to pay for water. She's got to pay for trash collection. She's got to pay city taxes. She's got to pay school taxes. I think those are rolled in with her mortgage. She has to clean the driveway. She power washes the driveway. There's a lot of additional responsibility that you have to take into account when you own. Whereas when you rent, you just call your landlord and you're like, hey, the pump stopped working in the pool, needs to be fixed. Hey, the driveway is shit and needs to be cleaned. Hey, the gutters are blocked. You need to get the gutters cleared. So renting, I actually think we're going to have a very strong renting class over the next 20, 30 years. Because I think, given discounting coronavirus brought down property values a lot in some areas like New York City.
I don't think it brought down property values. It brought down rental income.
No. Okay, fair enough. But it also
because property values have gone up a lot in the last year.
Well, it brought down property values in places like Manhattan, right, where people are trying to sell because they want to leave. But you're driving more renters to rent. Right. The worse the economy is, the more renters you have versus property owners. So, given, a lot of people are trying to buy into the suburbs, but interest rates are low. But a lot of people lost their jobs and they can't qualify for a mortgage, so they're trying to rent. But renting is just you have a lot less stress, a lot less overhead, and you can move way faster. If you own something and you have a mortgage, it's a lot more difficult to make a move. So we're told TikTok that the chat is dead on Instagram. So if you guys are watching on Instagram, we want to know: do you own? Do you rent? How many times have you moved? And really, I think the conversation tonight is just about moving and why people complain.
Well, one thing I want to address, actually, since I just recently moved, and as you can tell in the background, I'm still kind of in the process of it, is like the dread of the move versus the actual move. Because I was in the same place for 13 years, and especially in the last 6 months or whatever, I was just developing all this anxiety about everything that was going to go into having to move all my stuff to somewhere else. And it wasn't pleasant, but it was nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be, where really the bulk of the move was done in a single day. Now, it was the entire day that was burned, but I was able to get like all of my stuff, all the big stuff out. But the process probably was about 2 weeks of like a trip like probably 3 or 4 times a week. I'd make a trip to the apartment and get another load from the car. I threw out probably about 2 full. No,
you didn't hire. You threw out what?
I probably threw out about 2 full carloads of things.
Oh shit!
More like,
but that's
2 or 3 carloads.
So on moving though, it's super liberating to just throw shit away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like clothes that you haven't worn and just shit that you don't use, and also you're like cheap shit that you want to replace with better shit.
Or just like pare down your belongings, and you're like, you know what? I haven't used this thing in 5 years. Do I really need it?
Yeah, I mean, tell me about it. David, when did you move last?
Last was I spent about a month on the road, just doing a little road trip from Charleston to Sacramento, but that would have been July, August of 2019.
Like a year and a half ago, a little more.
Yeah, give or take.
And then you've been in the same place since.
Moved here with no place to live, no job. Stayed with my friend for a month. Found a place through one of the social media groups that he made me rejoin.
So you were homeless in Sacramento?
No,
yeah.
Let's
good club.
Let's address. You physically put yourself in a city that you wanted to be in, yet you didn't have a place to move to. You didn't have. Like,
I knew I had a couch to crash on, but nothing set. It was like,
how long
hey,
were
you
you
can stay with us. Sorry.
How long were you on that couch?
It was a month.
And what was your connection to the couch owner?
He was is my best friend from college.
All right.
Who's been out here for 7 years.
So you slept on a couch for a month. I think, dude, who's going to turn somebody away? I think you can turn 2 weeks into a month easy if you're friends with somebody. You're like, hey, let me crash your couch for 2 weeks. And that can slip into a month so easy. But what I'm getting at is how easy it is to pull that off and couch surf for a little while you get a job, while you find a place, while you save a little bit of money. But I mean, I'm in Fort Lauderdale, and this is, I've been down here a half dozen times. My sister moved down here from Albany. She had a great place in Albany. She owned her last place in Troy, New York, and that was an income rental property. It was 2-family, and then she moved down here, and I know she lived with roommates for a little while. She was in some different programs through whatever university she was at. But now she owns a place and she's happy out here. But that's what got me thinking, like, why do so many people complain so much about where they are when you can just pick where you want to live and then design your life around that place?
Because it's a lot easier.
It's easy for you and me to say that.
Well,
but
it's also a lot easier to complain than to take the steps to do all the things that go into it.
But when is it tough? What are the barriers?
So we already talked about this. I'm going to list off a few more, but number one is financial. Like, so you spent $40,000 or $50,000 on your down payment and all the other moves.
Dude. But I also said I've moved 8 or 9 times.
All right, but
one move costs $40,000. Every other move costs a few $100.
No, okay. But the other thing is, if you're going to be moving to a new city where you don't know anybody, there's some people that depend on kind of having a group of friends and a support network. And so if you're going to just completely uproot and have none of that going along with you, that's a pretty big barrier to somebody who needs to know people to have some kind of support. It's scary to move to a place where you don't know anybody and you don't have a job.
But it's also super liberating. I want to move to France. All right, cool. I don't speak French.
So is walking around your apartment naked. I don't do it in Capitol Park. Like, it's liberating, but it's also like that.
You can't walk around your apartment in Capitol Park, but I'll bet you could turn that into something if you want to just be like the naked dude in the park. Like, that could be your thing, man.
I'm pretty sure there's at least one of them already.
So, but if I wanted to move to France and I don't speak French, Rosh, who's in the background listening, I say, hey man, give me some tips on moving to France. And then I'd say, what's a cheap town to move to? And I would probably move to a shit town that I didn't ultimately want to be in. David, we can talk about this in a minute. And say, you know what, I'll stick it out here until the rent's paid up for whatever term. And I'm going to do the thing is, when you're in a place that you don't want to be, you should be everything that you're doing, every action that you do should be in some form to redirect that. Like when I moved down to South Carolina, I had no money. Everything I did was try to find a job.
Yeah, but that's because you're an exceptionally driven person. You're one of the few people. You're one of the few people who started a business in New York City and kept it going for a couple of years. Not everyone's driven like that. A lot of people like to take the easy way out of things. I get what you're saying. You're absolutely right. What I'm saying is that the person that complains that their life is bullshit, and then they're like, "Well, Justin did it, who moved here with fucking $463 and a 580 credit score with no college education." Like, it's what, and it's not I'm exceptionally driven. It's just that I try to avoid bullshit. Like that's like I'm.
But you are you're well above the average in terms of drive and personal initiative. And I'm talking about, I've met a number of people.
But James, let me ask you, do you think you're more apathetic, or do you think you're more like super motivated?
Is that like an internal assessment or measuring myself against other people?
Internal assessment.
Internal assessment, I'm pretty apathetic.
Okay, so if there's a spider next to you, would you not probably move your entire desk setup to the other side of the room?
I would have somebody else move it for me because I'm not getting that close to the spider.
What if the floor were hot lava? What would you do then, James?
Fucking but my point is that you may be a reserved person. You may not be a super motivated person, but you may have certain standards that you're just like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go there. Not,
James, if we need to up your productivity, apparently we just need to chase you around the office with spiders. That's what I'm getting from this. Is that the takeaway, Justin?
Yes.
Depends on how you measure productivity. Like,
you gotta, if the shit in your life, you have to compare that. It just depends on how much shit you want to put up with.
Yeah, the beatings will continue until morale improves.
100%, man. So some people are just gonna be pissed off all the time and just get beat their fucking ass up. Or they're just gonna put a smile on their face and be like, "I'm not getting my ass kicked today." And
or they're into S&M, and you just kind of actually turn them on a lot.
Yeah,
and that's actually I think that's
Maybe.
a negative feedback loop where
oh no, yeah,
like this is terrible work, and you spank them,
All right,
and they do worse work.
right, yeah, no.
So TikTok saying, so Jeffrey Wright saying, renting is a waste of money. You make your landlord rich. Fair enough, but again, to purchase, how much out of pocket you have to put to purchase, and then again, when you purchase, also relocating is really, really tough when you have a mortgage somewhere. So the cool thing about renting is you can relocate every year at the very least.
So renting has the flexibility where you don't have to, you're not tied down to any one place. You can move pretty much freely. And like if I wanted to break my lease early on like my apartment that I'm still paying for, it would have cost me like 2 or 3 months rent, which is much cheaper than if I wanted to try and sell a house quick and I might have to take like a $20,000 or $30,000 loss.
Yeah, you don't want to take that fucking loss. Like that's the thing about owning.
But the thing about so renting, you have the flexibility. You also don't have the responsibility for the property maintenance and repairs and everything else. It's pretty much your maximum liability is going to be your utilities and your rent expense. So yeah, there's definite advantages to renting in terms of flexibility, but you're not building any equity. You every month that money's gone and you're getting nothing for it. And you also don't have flexibility with the property itself, where if you move into a house and you want to change the way that the house is built, you want to renovate or decorate in certain ways, you can't really do that with the rental the way you can with the house.
Sure, but in today's age where everybody's working remotely, and you can work remote in New York City, or you can work remote in Paris, or you can work remote in Miami, and you're going to rent 6 months somewhere. So actually, a lot of over the last like 2018 to 2020, we had a lot of companies coming to us who wanted us to promote their furnished rentals, where people can rent, and this will seem like high numbers to you, but it's not super high numbers for New York City. But people can rent for $4,500 or $5,200 a month a nice 1-bedroom apartment that's fully furnished, and they can rent it for 4 months or 6 months, and then they can go move to fucking Egypt, and they can find some nice place in Egypt, or they can move to San Francisco and find a very similar apartment in San Francisco for the same price.
So it's a question: isn't a home the American dream?
But is that the dream? Is home ownership the dream?
It was at one point.
I mean, I love the fact of owning in New Jersey and having property and being able to do whatever the fuck I want to do, and it just being permanent and being up to me. But that's a wild juxtaposition to New York City life, where you rent and you have a doorman and you have people that pick up after you, and you can move 16 blocks away at the drop of a dime.
Why haven't you hired a butler?
Because I'm broke as fuck, man. Coronavirus fucking slapped me silly. So,
well, I mean, that means that butlers are probably on the cheap right now.
I need a French butler, by the way.
Yeah, that question came from Digong, by the way, about like owning a home is the American dream. And I don't know, like I feel like 50 years ago it very much was. These days, I really think that asset prices have gotten to the point where it's really hard for people to be able to buy in a lot of places that they would want to live. Well, I consider myself super lucky to have gotten the house that I did in Charleston.
But what is the big? So, David, you're renting still. David.
Yep.
You're breathing still, right?
Yes. I'm here.
All right.
Yeah.
So you're renting.
My internet cutting out. It is pretty shitty.
Yeah, I think you're a little delayed. But you're breathing and you're renting. Are you
renting the air?
Are you super driven to buy?
I would love to buy, but prices have gone up in my local market by about one would be not living literally a block away from the tram that goes by, it doesn't really bother me at this point. But my mom came out and visited last week, which is why I had to ditch out on Thursday. And she commented on how she constantly woke up to it. It's like, oh, I don't even notice it anymore. We also have a homeless gentleman who lives about 20 yards from my door, and he commonly goes and grabs bags of trash and then strews them across his corner of the parking lot, which attracts cockroaches and rats and all kinds of other things. What?
Why don't you get to know
him? James, did you ever get to experience one of his rants? Or
I don't think it was a full tilt, but it was
Okay.
just kind of a moderate volume mumbling for at least an hour and a half.
Yeah, that's not really his forte. He's not so much there all the time.
I mean, that's the thing about the homeless population. Most of it.
Yeah, there's very, very, very severe mental illness there. So that's a challenge.
Is he a bad guy, or he's just?
No, not at all. He's just very, very, very troubled, and we try and help him out when we can. But it'd also be really nice if I didn't have about 40 square feet of trash strewn out across the parking lot, 20 yards from.
Let me hit some quick TikTok comments. One thing is to move one person. It's a whole different ball game when there are dependents involved. Another comment: I do not have property. I am poor, but I have the internet.
Yeah.
Dude, the thing is, like, if you want to make money with the internet, you can make so much money so easily if you put your mind to it. Like, I remember.
Why aren't we broadcasting on OnlyFans?
We're once we figure out our full setup, we're going to be on Twitch, we're going to be on YouTube, we'll be on LinkedIn Live. I don't see why we're not on OnlyFans. I'll take off my shirt, that's fine. Keep my dick in my pants, but take off my shirt, that's fine.
New for you.
But
see how you feel after another couple of those beers.
Yeah,
I've been fucking trashed all day. It's a nice place to be on vacation, actually.
All right, so no more beers. Let's step on the gas. Let's just some liquor.
Dude, no way. I had a little liquor this afternoon, then I took a nap. Woke up and drank some beer.
Find him face down at the pool.
But fuck, what was I gonna say? So I remember moving from South Carolina back to New York City and spending probably an hour to 2 or 3 hours every night brainstorming. What can I do? What's my next move to make more money? And then I became a real estate agent, and my life got fucking turned upside down, where I just had to put in an immense amount of work, 60, 70, 80 hours a week to make $400 a month. But the potential to make more money was there. And I did it for, the first 8 months, I made basically nothing. But I mean, that was me being new to New York City and being in a position where I wanted to make money, and me spending hours every night brainstorming, how can I make more money? While working a job that took up so much time every day. I don't know. I think there's just a lot of opportunity out there that people don't look at because they don't want to compromise certain aspects of their life. They don't want to move to a new city and kind of hit the reset button, because the reset button involves losing a lot of the luxuries that you have in your current life. Does that make sense to you guys?
Well, I just started my job 6 months ago, and I've taken an entirety of 2 days off in those 6-7 months. And I think I currently have maybe 5 or 6 hours banked after those 2 days. So I didn't lose any of the time off. I took that at my last job, but I don't have that coming into it. And that comes with changing jobs. That comes with moving to
But let me ask you, what are the things that you think that if you move to a new city, some of the things that you would have to sacrifice? Like if you just hit the reset button, move to a new city next month, what would you have to sacrifice, and what would be the kind of first things that you would go after? Housing obviously would be first, right? Housing would be first. You're gonna find a place.
Yeah, but I've got this frequent sandwich card, and I'm like 2 away. So
You'd lose that. You'd lose that.
So you're going to be losing probably all of your friends. And there's a lot to be said for when you live in a city for a while, even if you don't have friends, you've got acquaintances or contacts that can help you find a job. So like the job that I have right now, I got through a professor at the College of Charleston. And like other jobs that I've gotten have been through people that I knew who put in a word for me and got me to the interview stage. And then I interviewed well enough to get the job.
Dude,
But if I
tell
moved to a new
everybody,
city, I wouldn't know any of those people to help me. I would be,
They're
if I were to apply for a new job,
fine.
I'd be coasting on the strengths and weaknesses of my resume. And I'd
No,
be
no, but
another
you
face. And
but you
I'd
could
be really
still,
just another piece of paper.
dude, but you could still get started with the social media aspect. You connect with people on LinkedIn,
What
and
if you don't want to do that? What if you're not on social media?
and you're just being dumb, man. It's like the LinkedIn. I mean, and I get it. Like you're not a big super social media person, but I mean, I'm discounting you from this argument. Most people are big on social media, and what they need to do is make these connections with these people that are in the hiring power. And you have the exact right ideas to make connections, reach out to people that way, and then obviously you send your resume. But
you're wherever you are, you've got connections, whether you are
I
aware of
remember,
them or not.
but
You have
leaving.
connections.
I remember leaving Albany, where I worked at a gym, and I knew all the bouncers at all the clubs, and then the bouncers, because the bouncers used to come in after hours to work out, along with the police. So it was nice being pulled over, and you know the police officer, or you know police officers in that department, and you can drop some.
It's nice being pulled over. I love that.
No,
All
but
the time that you're on a first name basis. Hey Jeff, how's it going? Yeah, another Dewey. Hey, you know me.
dude,
Can't stay away.
I had a flat tire one night, and I drove through a DUI checkpoint hammered in reverse, and I rolled the window down like 6, 7, 8 inches. I was like, oh, I was already here. That's why I'm going to reverse. And I pointed at
Why you check me out twice?
I pointed at somebody I knew and kind of saluted them and kept going. Um, but no, connections are important. But the thing is, I remember moving from Albany, where I knew, like, we used to go downtown. We never paid to get in anywhere. We never waited in lines. When we got into places, we didn't pay for the drinks because I knew the bouncers. The bouncers introduced us to the bartenders. Bartenders never charged us for shit. And we stuck around those places. And then moving to South Carolina, where we didn't know anybody, very tough transition to the stomach, because you realize that you were nobody up there. You just had these connections, and you're still nobody in a different place. But
Gong wants to send Derv a sandwich card.
I already moved. The sentiment is appreciated.
where is the sandwich card from?
Well, let's see. I've got a couple here. This is the sandwich spot.
Well, you only got one on that one.
Dude,
It was a prop, all right? The fact I even had the sandwich card to pull out that had Eddie number on it was.
Dude,
When I was moving, I found a Mr. Sub card.
Oh man, I had that once.
Look, I go to
There's one
places and they give me the card, and I'm like, I'm never gonna bring it back with me. And they're like, no, because you get a free one, you get 10. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna buy fucking 60 of these things. I don't need it. Like, I never need a free one. I'm not gonna remember the fucking card. I'm not interested. Like, it's just not there for me. That 10% off value is not. It's not.
What if they gave you? What if a liquor store gave you the same deal?
Look, I
You
have
would buy 10 in the cart and say, all right, here's what we're left.
You can look at my credit card points. So the one thing is, I don't pay for travel. So we flew to Florida. We did some decent. It was JetBlue. So like, the thing about flying is like these days, if you're going overseas, you're going to fucking Japan, you ought to spend you're gonna spend $1,400 on fucking flights. You ought to drop the extra $700 and upgrade, because you're gonna be on that flight for a fucking day, right? But if you're going from New York to Fort Lauderdale, like, what's the fucking upgrade? So I totally lost my train of thought with this. What prompted me for this fucking conversation about?
Puede ser o cerveza.
Autismo.
Thank you for the Spanish. Where was I going with this point?
Es lo mismo.
We don't know where you were going. We were
No,
talking about
yeah.
sandwich cards, and
Yeah,
then
you're
you-
expecting us
Oh,
to follow
no.
this logic?
Yeah, no, I was talking about the fucking point. I was talking about the points is that I don't pay for the fucking flights because you get the points on your card.
So think about like the sandwich card, like flights.
But
But for your cola.
I'm not bringing the sandwich card with me to the fucking airport. I'm just like going and saying, just do it, and it happens. And they
You
take
should
it out
just
of
flash the sandwich card and say like, yeah, I got upgraded.
Look, I skipped a lot of tater tots at Mr. Subs. So. All right, guys. Cerveza sí es lo mismo de qué?
We're not explaining this to you.
I just joined. What is this about? Hey, Lynn, this is about moving to a new city and why people don't fucking do that shit.
Which is how we got the sandwich cards and frequent flyer miles.
Dude, my point. I mean, the
aren't
big
really
point-
parallel.
Look, if you're, and I don't think this applies to most people I know, but it applies to people that are just fucking pissed all the time about where they live. It's like, stop complaining. Go move. Like, I was having a conversation with my sister today. And I'm like, you live in a fucking incredible place. Where else would you want to live? A different country? I mean, I get it. Like, the United States is a very small country. You could travel anywhere else you want.
How is the United States small?
How many United States can fit in Asia?
We're about the same size as China geographically.
Okay, and how many Chinas can fit in Asia? 2, 3?
Yeah, but if you like compare China to Russia, like Russia is like 2/3 at least of just like frozen garbage tundra.
Bro, I think my sister would love to live in Russia.
Well, that's
Well-
another good 80-20 rule. 80% live in the 20% closest to the west, and
Yeah,
vice versa.
like yeah,
But-
send her up to Siberia and then have her right back.
But dude, I moved to South Carolina, and then I moved back to New York. And I'm cool with the seasons that we have. I'm cool with the cold weather. Like, I'm totally cool with the whole thing.
Yeah, we do need to wrap soon so that Derv can go on the pursuit.
Yeah, David has a big date.
Hopefully it's
So-
not.
So on that note, guys, what was that, David?
Nothing. Scooting along.
Scooting along.
Plowing ahead.
Yeah, David, plowing ahead, man.
His words. I didn't say it.
All right, guys. I think we basically, David. Anything else you want
The
to add?
sandwich card to the date. Look, I don't know if you know anything about me, but I'm pretty exclusive in a lot of places here.
David, I dare you to bring that sandwich to the date.
I'll bring it to the date. It's not going to make sense. It's like another 5 blocks up and not going that far
Why not?
because they're probably closed. Although that would be a really, really great.
We close at
Hey,
7:00
yeah, let-
California time.
dude, restaurants close so early here. Like
You can- yeah,
Domino's will close at
You're
10.
like, look, I'm gonna treat you to a turkey sub, no onions, side of tater tots. That'd be really sexy, man. What girl wouldn't want you to buy her a turkey sub?
I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is that it would be closed, and I would be taking her to a closed restaurant, which would show either just a total lack of awareness, which it certainly would, or it could take some creepy undertones because you could like, oh, well, let's check around back. Maybe they're still in there. No, not doing that. Not going back by the dumpster.
All right. Well, I wish you the
But
best. of luck.
there's probably more sandwiches there.
I wish you the best in the dumpsters. I wish you the best of luck on your date, David.
Very thank you. Yeah. It'll be curious to see how I self-sabotage this one.
You gonna step 3 it?
Hard. You should hear about Tuesday.
Can we talk about David? Can you join us next Tuesday so we can talk about what the fuck you're talking about right now? Guys,
Sure, if you remember.
yeah, I mean, I've had.
I'll send you a video link for the explanation of step 3, Justin.
All right, thank you. On that note, guys, I've had enough to drink. Thank you for joining us. We will catch you next time. Please don't forget to go to YouTube, subscribe, please, por favor. We need you. We need you to subscribe on YouTube and on the audio podcast for us to grow. And please send some comments, some messages. Let us know what you want to hear about. And last episode, David, you missed it. We covered religion, which was something that I was very reluctant to even talk about in any of the previous podcasts. Did you happen to hear it? Do you happen to catch it, David?
No, I find this whole podcast to be a little too Jewy as it is. So,
well, it's half as Jewy when you're not here.
Yeah.
So, but it
still too much.
It was a pretty solid episode, James. I thought we did pretty good. So
check it out.
On that note, let's thank Rosh for helping us produce the podcast. Rosh Galeb in the background, and thank you guys on TikTok, on Instagram, and Facebook for joining us. And we will catch you all next time. David, James, see ya.
Later, guys.
Have a good night.
Adios. All right. That is the end of episode 98 and the end of my dignity. So on that note, I will see you next episode. Thank you for joining. Let me know what you want us to talk about. I'll see you soon.
I like PBR. I just got priced out of it.